Most of us buy butter without thinking twice about it. It's butter. How complicated can it be? You grab the one your mom used, or the one with the nicest packaging, or whichever one is on offer that week, and you move on. But after looking into what actually goes into some of the most popular butter brands in America, I can tell you that not all butter is created equal. Some of it barely qualifies as butter at all. And when I say butter brands, I'm including the spreads and alternatives that sit right next to butter on the shelf and try very hard to convince you they belong there. I looked into 7 brands, and shockingly, only 2 of them are worth your money. Land O'Lakes is probably the first brand that comes to mind for most Americans, and that familiarity is doing a lot of work here. The packaging is wholesome, the branding is warm, and the impression it gives is of happy cows on open farmland. Undercover investigations tell a very different story. Activists documenting 14 Land O'Lakes supplier farms across Wisconsin and California found calves chained outside in freezing temperatures, exposed to over 100-degree heat in the California desert, and confined in hutches so small they couldn't take more than a single step. Beyond the animal welfare concerns, many of the dairy farms supplying Land O'Lakes use RBGH, a synthetic growth hormone that has been banned in the EU, Canada, Australia, and Japan due to its links to accelerated cell growth and increased cancer risk. The cream in that familiar carton is coming from somewhere, and the brand would rather you didn't look too closely at where. Speaking of brands built on misleading packaging, I Can't Believe It's Not Butter has been telling people for decades that they're making a smart swap. The name itself is designed to sound like a compliment. In reality, the product is a blend of soybean oils, artificial flavorings, and chemical emulsifiers. Despite the brand's advertising claiming it contains no hydrogenated oils, the ingredient list includes partially hydrogenated soybean oil, which is a source of trans fats. Trans fats raise bad cholesterol, damage cardiovascular health, and have been either banned or strictly limited across Europe. In the UK, the product is classified as ultra-processed, carrying additives like E471 and synthetic lecithins that have no place in anything that wants to call itself a butter alternative. The packaging lies. The ingredients don't. Then there's Country Crock, or to give it its real name, Country Crook, which has spent years repositioning itself as a modern, health-conscious choice, most recently with its plant-based range. Plant-based sounds good. It sounds clean and simple and virtuous. What it actually means in Country Crock's case is a blend of palm kernel oil, canola oil, palm fruit oil, and a long list of chemical additives, including monoglycerides, citric acid, and calcium disodium EDTA. Dietitians have been direct about tub-based spreads like this one, describing them as often loaded with unhealthy oils that are engineered for spreadability rather than nutrition. Palm oil, which features heavily here, is also one of the most environmentally destructive crops on the planet. The cute commercials with children giggling in kitchens are doing a lot to distract from all of that. Next up is Parkay, one of the original margarine brands, and one that has never really pretended to be anything other than what it is, which is both its most honest and most alarming quality. It's made predominantly from soybean, palm, and palm kernel oil, yet the packaging features a large image of milk and the slogan, "Made with real milk," despite the product being more than half vegetable oil. Nutritionists have pointed out that palm and palm kernel oils are among the highest in saturated fats of all plant oils, and the environmental cost of palm oil sourcing adds another layer of concern. Parkay exists in a category of product that emerged from decades of manipulated nutrition research funded by the food industry, research that convinced an entire generation that artificial fat was safer than natural fat. It wasn't. Now, KerryGold is a little different from everything else on this list, and it deserves its own honest conversation. In terms of what it actually is, it's genuinely good butter. Irish grass-fed cows, minimal processing, no synthetic hormones, naturally rich in vitamins and healthy fatty acids. The deep yellow color alone tells you something real is going on inside the packet. But here's why it lands in the bad pile today, and it's not about the butter itself, it's about the marketing. KerryGold has built its entire American brand identity around the claim that its cows are grass-fed, and a class action lawsuit filed in California accused the brand of false and misleading advertising, arguing that Irish cows regularly eat grain, soya, and potentially genetically modified feed during winter months, when grass simply isn't available. KerryGold defended the claims, but the lawsuit exposed something important. Millions of Americans were paying a premium based on a promise that wasn't the full picture. If a brand is going to charge extra for a health benefit, that benefit needs to be airtight. KerryGold's isn't, at least not as advertised. Which brings us to the two brands that actually earned their place on your shopping list. Kate's unsalted butter is made in Maine, slow-churned daily on-site from grade A cream, sourced from hormone-free, farm-raised cows. There are 0 additives, no fillers, no emulsifiers, no synthetic anything. Just cream, carefully handled by a family-owned business that has been doing this the right way for years. It won first place at the World Dairy Expo Championship in 2008, and anyone who has tasted it understands why. It manages to be rich and airy at the same time, which sounds like a contradiction, but somehow isn't. It costs a little more than the big shelf brands, but you are paying for something that is genuinely what it says it is, which at this point feels almost radical. And finally, Plugra European-style unsalted butter is the one professional bakers have quietly known about for years. Made by dairy farmers of America and based in Kansas City, it's produced to European standards with 82% butterfat, significantly higher than most American butters, which gives it a denser, richer texture and a cleaner flavor. No artificial ingredients, no additives, just cream and natural flavors. It received the American Culinary Federation's seal of approval in 2009 and has been a staple in professional kitchens ever since. It melts differently, bakes differently, and tastes noticeably better than anything sitting in a tub next to it on the shelf. Of all the options investigated, Plugra and Kate's are the only two that don't require you to read between the lines of the label to figure out what you're actually buying.